Welcome to another episode of Fight the Burnout. Today we have a very special guest that I actually have met through my wife because of what our guest today, actually the business she runs. But we have Bonnie on today. She runs a podcast that's called Everyday Us, just getting people to talk about their stories and their emotions and bringing some normality to it because we all go through stuff. But she also runs here in Auckland a beauty therapy shop that she's been running for about 4 years. And today she's going to tell us all about her experiences as a business owner, as a person, relationships with burnout. And it's going to be a great episode. So Bonnie, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself like we do with everybody and tell us a little bit about your backstory.
Hi, I'm Bonnie. Like Chris just said, I have a podcast called The Everyday Us, and I've been a business owner for the last 4 years. So I'll tell you guys a little bit of backstory of some of the burnouts I've had in the past leading towards this career. I worked in digital marketing and graphic design after finishing uni. The second job, the first job, I didn't have my needs met through not being validated and not having the opportunity to grow, which is something I really seek at that stage of my career. I left that job not long after I been there and just feel like I kind of hit the max progression growth at that point. And then I went to my second office job after uni, and I love that job. It was such a great opportunity for me to learn a lot of things in the digital marketing industry that I wanted to learn. However, I had the worst colleagues I could ever imagine. They were emotionally abusing me. And as a younger person back then, I didn't really know how to protect myself, because if the me today going back, I wouldn't have just left quietly and not doing anything. But I was getting quite emotionally abused by two of my managers. And I had to leave to protect my own mental health as a human being. And even though I had no jobs lined up. So yeah, people around me, they were very horrible. And it was just really unpleasant going to work every day, because they're the people that you see and spend almost most of your awakening hours with.
Yeah.
Then I kind of accidentally started this business. I didn't plan to start Index Studio. I just wanted to do some freelance makeup, which I did as a part-time job at uni. And then I started doing a beauty course to learn how to do nails, and then just started working as a sole trader on my own just for survival. And because I gave so much care, I cared about people quite a lot, both through work, and then I cared about them as human beings a lot. The business just grew really, really fast and out of my own capacity. So I had to move out of the first place and started to have employees. So now we are 4 years in. I have 3 employees and also another lady that sublease inside of our space. And then I also started a secondary business within that space about 8 months ago.
Mm.
This is a very sustainable business for me to keep running, because I'll talk about in a second how do I define burnouts and how to keep going. But I have all my needs and wants met, and so are my employees. We feel incredibly happy. We feel incredibly satisfied through our work, and yeah, everyone's happy. And then we really care about our clients too, and then we make connection and have friendships with them. I also started another B2B e-commerce, like an online beauty supply store, about 2 years ago.
Mhm.
And I ran it for about a year and a half, and then sold it a few months ago. At the beginning of this year, I was just so drained from it. I was just working way too much, having two jobs and not having just the most basic, like physical resting time. And I felt really burnt out and just drained. And yeah, I just had to let it go. And as soon as I let it go, I just felt so good. I felt like I have breathing space. I feel like I can spend a little time, take care of myself, and have more um creativity and emotional space. That's why I started the podcast. I wanted to do it for a while, but I didn't have physical and emotional capacity to do it.
Mm.
Burnouts also happen in relationships too. I had two very long-term relationships. One was 7.5 years and one was 3 years.
Mm.
Now thinking back, the reason the burnouts happened were, yeah, my needs and wants not met. One of them was that I felt like I didn't receive emotional support at the end towards just the last 6 months. But thinking back, I didn't explain what my needs and wants were, or I didn't know what my needs and wants were. Um, and it was, yeah, very unfortunate we fell apart. We definitely had really good thing going on, but just at the very end, we kind of both just like give up a little bit. And then the other relationship was also that was more of an actual burnout. I felt so drained. I felt like I was constantly giving, offering help, but the other person is not willing to get out of a darker place. The other person is not willing to take help. And then it was just a constant imbalance that we didn't have communication. We didn't have each other's wants and needs met. Both of us suffered for probably the last 2 years, to be honest. And yeah, had to end it to take care of myself. I just felt like I couldn't give anymore.
Yeah.
So these are probably the major life burnouts I've had,
So
both
lots of
career and personal life.
so lots of different burnouts and lots of different growth
Yeah.
experiences and that. It's actually really amazing that you can identify it because so many people
Mm,
can't. They just go, "Oh, it was just a horrible time of my life." Rah, rah, rah. Just a few questions that I had around it. Um, you got 3 employees now.
mm,
You guys are doing lots of cool stuff. We'll get into how you help them not burn out. But the
mm.
one that I wanted to ask you on all of that was, the e-commerce one. How did you identify that you were actually burning out?
Well, I was just like tired. I, you know, after work coming home, I have to do more work and staying up really late, not having enough time to sleep, not even having enough time to do the basic, like everyday tasks like, cooking and cleaning and just taking care of like the literally most basic needs. I was mentally quite fulfilled with that business, but physically I wasn't looking after myself, and I just couldn't like actually couldn't do it anymore.
So how'd you ID that it was that one and not the other one?
um because that was something that was a secondary focus for me. So
Mm.
if I have to choose out of the two career, definitely the beauty salon was my main career, and there are way more responsibility. It's a team. It's not just a solo project. The online B2B e-commerce was just a side project. I wanted to do it not for money, but um, to just prove to myself I could do this. It was
Mhm.
something I really wanted to try. So it was more like almost like a hobby. Sounds weird having a a own business as a hobby, but yeah, it was more like a hobby
Well,
for me.
there's actually so many people that do that, and they actually turn that hobby into their main career.
Mm,
So I guess my other question for you would that, because I know that there's so many people that'll be doing another job or they'll be running another business and they'll start up like a hobby like so,
mm.
and then they will all of a sudden that will be their main one. How did you know that the beauty salon was the one that made you the happiest, not the e-commerce?
Mm. Because people,
Mm.
I think everything, like people staying in jobs, leaving jobs, usually it's people. Either like some people could leave a job because they're not validated by people, their hard work is not seen by people around them, or they've hit the limit of their growth because other people around them are not communicating the needs and wants of personal growth or career growth, or just the friendship, the human relationship between coworkers. When that's great, you just have so much more resilience to fight through other difficulties in that job.
Mm.
But if you have a very poor relationship with people around you, no matter how great this job is, there's just no way that you could sustain it, and you just be really drained. So people is one of the things that really pushes people to fight burnouts. I think, like, sometimes, for me at least, I could have my physical and emotional needs slightly neglected,
Yeah.
but people around me is what keeps me going, because I care about them, and I also want to be cared for by them.
Well, as we know, connection is one
Mm,
of the 6 human needs that we need.
mm,
We need connection, and some people need it more. It's higher on their priority list than others. So
mm,
it's awesome that you were able to identify, hey, this e-commerce business isn't serving that big bucket of mine that is
mm,
connection, and so I'm going to sell it, get rid of it, and actually put my
mm.
focus and time into actually connecting more. So
But
Bonnie,
actually, it was still a connection in a way, because I've passed on that business to someone that was really capable of running it.
yeah.
So it was like my gift to her
Mm.
in a way.
Yeah, and there was
Um,
connection there, but what I mean is like the
mm,
level of connection.
yeah, yeah, it
Your
was
your your beauty therapy, business.
business
What
had
what
more.
what's it called again? The beauty therapy one?
Index studio.
Index Studio. So Index
Yeah,
Studio was, gives you a higher level of
yeah,
connection. Connections obviously
way
very, very,
higher.
very, very
Because
high
we
on your
we
priority.
deal with people on daily basis as well, like, seeing clients and have chats with them all day, literally.
Cool.
And that's something I really enjoy, to connect with human beings in my job, and not just my colleagues, but yeah, communicating with clients, and um, building friendship with them was quite important to me.
Well, that's how you're here, is through connection with my wife, and then
Yeah, here we go. I've made all my
yeah.
best friends. All my best friends were actually all from work. They were all my clients once.
There you go. There you go. That's how it works. All right. So,
Mm,
Bonnie, let's go into, so that people actually know, because obviously you've given us some experience on what, stages where you feel like you've been burned out.
mm,
What's your definition of burnout, so people kind of have that baseline?
mm. Well, I think one of the feeling most people will feel from a burnout usually is you're either physically or emotionally drained
Mm,
from either drain that you just can't do it anymore, you can't take it anymore. And it could happen in family as well, friendship. Um, yeah, it's something has been neglected, whether it's your own needs and wants or human connection,
mm,
um, to the point that we all have like a capacity how much we can take these um, unsatisfied feeling, I
mm.
guess. There's only a capacity how long you can take it for. And once it hits the limit and you're on that top limit running for a while, then at the end, then you just can't do it anymore because it's not sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Mm,
definitely would agree with that. So obviously you've gone through all these different stages of all these different things with burnout. And
mm,
from what I've identified so far from what you've said, is it's not actually the same, with work. It's been different things that have caused the burnout. And
mm,
then even in relationships, it was different things that caused it. So you actually have been learning in that along the way. What
mm,
did you learn over all the so far? I mean, we'll constantly, I say this to everybody all the time, you're never going to get rid of burnout, but you're
mm.
going to get rid of the severity of it.
Oh, they will just keep popping up,
Yeah. It keeps
Mm,
coming up. And what it is it's you learning the different things that actually are not what you like, or what
mm.
drives you, or what is passionate for you. So what have you learned, Bonnie, over the years about yourself and preventing that burnout from happening again at the severity, at such a severity?
I think I never really thought about like burnout as a word until I found your podcast through your wife, and I think I just dealt with them without thinking. But
Mm,
this year, after I left a relationship, I've been doing a lot of therapy work, a lot of it's like a self-discovery journey.
yep.
And through that, I've gained a lot of self-awareness.
Mm,
So I started learning what my basic wants and needs are, both physically and emotionally, through from all different parts of my life. What I seek in career, what do I seek in other type of human connections, whatever that is. And yeah, being able to identify it, like your wants and needs, is something so important, because when you ask people, they actually don't know most of the time. Right? You ask them, what do you want from this job, or what's your main, what do you get out of this relationship? Why do you need a relationship? Why don't you just stay single? When you ask people, they haven't done the thinking. So I think to prevent burnout, you need to know your needs and wants. And also you need to care about people around you. If you don't give care, if you don't love people around you, they don't love you back. Yeah, you all us humans, even without saying any words, just being present in the same physical space, we can feel other people's energy. If they have great intention, they want the best for us, you can feel that. And if they have they're holding back, they have resilience, distance from you, you can feel that even without talking. So people can feel your intention, and they know when they're cared for by you. People can feel your intention. And I think creating that solid bond, a healthy human connection, whether it's relation, friendship, or family, or anything, is one of the key and I guess that's the key to increase the capacity of how much you can take with stress. And people can feel a bit drained, but if the people are there, they can keep you going for longer and increase that capacity to a way higher level. That's for sure. I think that's like with my job, as an employer, I take a lot of responsibilities, but I have that high capacity because I have amazing human connections with my coworkers, with my clients, and I want to show up for them. I want to be a better person. I want to do better for them so they can live happier life.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So there's an underlying driver there, obviously, with the connection, caring about them.
I care about people too deeply.
Hey, yeah, we can't do that. We care about others so much that we stop looking after ourselves sometimes. So on that, so you've gone through a lot of these different stages. You've gone through a lot of this different stuff. I know, like, my wife's told me about some of the things that you've done since you last split up, and that. What have you done in order to actually, in a way, find those things that actually do light you up the most, so you can actually do them? How did you figure out what those things are?
I don't know. I think I just followed my gut instinct. One tip I'll give to people, that's probably more career, sort of, not advice. Don't ever do things for the money. Don't ever do things for the money. Do things for the love. So what really is, before you can identify, you need to really know yourself. What makes you happy? What is your passion? And just keep doing those things, even though they might not feel easy at the time. You might feel like your time's getting wasted doing these things, but as long as it makes you happy, then keep doing it. And do the hard work. That's one thing I think most people don't. People avoid questions, avoid hard topics, avoid a lot of hard things in life because they just don't have that will to put in the hard work.
Yeah,
you got to put in the work to get to a better place. If you don't do the work, then you're just stuck.
Yeah, well, you think about, I could relate it back to, like, my policing career and training for the specialty squads that I got onto. If I didn't push myself to those breaking limits almost when it came to fitness, I would have never got to the level of fitness and strength that I did. And it's the same thing with your mindset. You've got to constantly push yourself out of your comfort zone, push out of those limits. And as you said, do things for the love. I really like that. That really resonated with me. Even when you're pushing in those, not even pushing, you won't even be pushing, be pulled in those states of, oh my God, this is really uncomfortable. But if you're doing it for an overarching, and we'll get into whys here in a little bit, but if you're doing it for this overarching, for this love of what you're doing, then you actually are pulled through that resistance, pulled through those hard times. And in turn, you come out the other side and you go, holy cow, I just won.
Mm.
I remember, I don't know, Bonnie, I don't know how old you are, but I don't know. Did you ever play Donkey Kong when you
20.
were a kid?
Yeah, I did. I'm
Yeah. So
29, by the way.
oh, sweet. So Donkey Kong, the arcade, you're playing Donkey Kong. For those that don't know Donkey Kong, you're this little guy and you go up these little ladders and up to the top, all the way to the top of this big monkey, which is Donkey Kong. And he's throwing barrels at you and you got to jump over him the whole time. And every time you get up to the top, you've got to do this stuff and, blow things up and that and to defeat Donkey Kong. And then guess what? It starts all over again, but the barrels come
Mm,
faster and there's more of them. And so it gets harder and harder. I relate
mm,
this to life as well. Those old arcade games can teach us so much because life is like an old arcade game. You literally
mm,
go through these things and it's easy in the beginning. Then you beat the big boss, which is really hard. That's when you're getting tested really hard. When you're really pushing through those things that are hard. Sometimes you get knocked back and you got to redo the level.
mm.
Then there's
It's
time.
how much you want those things.
Yeah.
Like if you really want it, you really, really want it, you need to put in the hard work to reach that level, to
And
be like, I guess everyone's ambition is, at different levels.
yeah.
So have dreams of something you think you're capable of, and then give it all. Also, it's not just about loving other people, but to reach these goals is a form of, self-love as well, because you're validating yourself at a higher level. Then you want to prove it to yourself that you can reach that level by putting in the hard work. Yeah, I think having dreams and working hard towards these dreams is a form of self-love.
It definitely is. And that relates back to what you said. Do things for
Mm,
the love, whether it be
mm,
love for you, whether it be love for everybody else. It's so true.
mm.
And, like I said about the Donkey Kong and the levels, you'll get knocked back and we need to get knocked back and redo those levels. You think about all those times you played those arcade games and you do the same level over, you can do the same thing with Candy Crush on your phone now. I know it's kind of outdated even now, but you do the same level over and over again and you keep strategizing, keep figuring out ways to get
Mm,
past that level, even though it's the same exact level. Nothing has
mm,
changed from the time you did it before, but but you're attacking it at a different way. So in turn, it is changing. So just think of those as well. I think for viewers,
mm,
this is real important. Like you said, find the things that you love, keep working at them, have those goals, have those dreams, and keep pushing.
mm,
Bonnie, I know you have a team, which is amazing, and then
mm.
for just 4 years, you're doing it so well. What is it that you do for your team to make sure that they don't burn out?
So this is quite an interesting story. So I used to be a bad boss, I would have to say, at the
You
very
were
beginning.
you are
Well,
you're a
I've never.
learning boss, Bonnie.
Yeah, yeah. So I've obviously never had experience as a leader before. I was quite young, haven't had that in previous, career opportunities either. So never been in a leadership role and didn't know what I needed to do. I was quite controlling, not giving trust to my employees at the time, and that my main employee at the beginning, she was actually a client of mine, but we became quite close, almost like friends.
Mhm.
And over the years, I just started to really care about her. And obviously, because our friendship that grew, I had a lot of trust. I started to finally let go and just give her my trust, give her freedom, give her power. And I really cared about her own basic life needs and wants. Um, as workers, everyone wants to have, flexibility in their work hours. They need to have their basic finance, weekly expenses met, feeling comfortable. They need to have time spent with their family and loved ones. All those, and also having themselves validated and seen and valued in their career. So I was able to identify her basic needs and wants as our friendship grew.
Mhm.
And that was very fortunate because then later on, I can apply this to other employees that I had later on.
Yeah.
So over time, I just, yeah, became a very caring boss. I think I'm one of the best bosses around, to be honest. And then I really think about people as they are the ones that are doing the hard work to help me to build my dream together. They are not my slaves. They are not just tools that I use. And having friendship with your team, you feel good. Because imagine if you're a boss and everyone hates you, how horrible would that feel? You
Mm,
know,
yeah.
it's not just that they work hard for you or not, it's that just being disliked by people will be horrible. And imagine you go to work, your entire team just either hates you, or if everyone's scared of you,
Mm.
that wouldn't be a great feeling, right? So
No,
yeah.
I like that, finding their needs and wants and making sure that they are met. And
Mm,
then obviously you have, three employees, and then, the person that's co renting some space from you. But
mm,
so you have that. Obviously everybody's going to have different needs and wants. How do you make sure that you're actually able to serve those without burning yourself out?
mm. Having my needs and wants met through them as well. So like if I try to build a good friendship with them, and every now and then we do hit little speed bumps, like sometimes it might be a little bit of a conflict between us, but by communicating, we can identify why we felt a little bit unhappy with each other,
Mm.
and how can we work through it.
So
And
how do you hire these people, Bonnie, to make sure that you have the right ones that are going to fit?
um well, just interview. Two of them were actually met through life, kind of.
Yeah.
One of them was just through recruitment. I've had other employees that didn't work out as well, of course. These are the good ones that worked out really well at the end. But yeah, really knowing their skill sets, knowing them, like their personality was always a huge part. Like I really wanted someone who's warm, who's humble, who's not bitchy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone to sabotage our good team vibe, that good team environment that we built. It was um very precious, and I was super protective of that
Yeah.
connection we've had within all the co-workers within the team.
So there's specific questions that you ask when you're interviewing people now?
Mm, no, I'm a terrible recruiter.
You just go by gut
Don't.
instinct. No,
Yeah,
it's good
yeah,
though because you
yeah.
do, and I think this is something to highlight for people is once you get in tune with yourself and you actually are whole within yourself and you're sitting
Mm,
there going, hey, I know what I need and what I want
mm,
and what drives me, then
mm,
you can actually sit in that and be present. I think this is one of
mm.
the biggest things that we have now is people aren't present, and
Yeah.
COVID helped some people. COVID didn't help other people and made
Mm,
some people's things worse. But being present in you and being confident in what you can then just kind of go, hey, actually, this person is somebody that is going to do well because I just know. I
mm.
don't know what it is exactly, but I just know because I am whole within myself. And you can call it intuition, you can call it gut feeling.
Intuition. I was about to just say it's
Yeah.
intuition. When you are connected with yourself, you know your own needs and wants, you know yourself as a person very well, then you have so much intuition. You're really in tune with your mind, your body, um, your emotions, and yeah, you're like your brain just kind of think for you, like without thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it's so true. So this next question is probably one of my most favorite. It's what I'm most passionate about because I believe that it drives everything. And I have a semi
Mm.
idea of what yours is already just from some of the things that you said, but
Mm,
everybody knows, there's that for me, there's that underdrying, the thing that I've figured out over the last years of coaching lots of people, coaching myself, going through a lot of stuff, digging deep into people and myself is that we have an underlying why. We've got
mm,
this underlying thing. I call it your why, but you can call it whatever you want. Simon Sinek talks about your why on that, but I go deeper than even he does with things. And I believe that it stems from your childhood and it is and
mm,
then concreted in there on how and the things that you need and what you want. But that why is there and it's why you've done everything that you've done and why some jobs you've been like, what I'm doing is not lining up. It doesn't feel
mm,
right. I don't want to do this anymore. And then some things is like, oh my God, this is just amazing. I love this
mm,
because it's meeting that why. My why, as listeners and viewers, if they're not new, no, but for the new ones, I'll tell you my why is I want to create less pain in myself and others
mm,
because then it creates the best versions of ourselves. But my underlying thing is I want to create less pain.
Mm.
It's why I used to stop bullies. It's why when I was at high school, we had the popular kids and then you had everybody else. And come to find out afterwards, I was the leader of it, not even knowing I was the leader of it at the time until I left the country. But those kind of things, then it's the same reason I joined the police. Saw a train crash, wanted to go down and saw the cops making the difference. That what was on the forefront of my brain of the police. I was thinking about it and went, those guys look like they're making the most difference down there, creating the less pain. I want that. I didn't know all this at that time. I figured it all out later, but looking back retrospectively, I'm like, oh my God. So, Bunny, what would you say your why is, and where do you believe it stems from? Because mine comes from seeing parents fight and my dad
Mm.
leaving and me being in pain and that. Him going to chiropractic school and that. We have a great
Mm.
relationship, but back when you're 5 years old, you don't know these things. You
Mm.
interpret stuff all sorts of different directions. But what would you say your why is, Bunny, for why, ultimately why you love the business that you do now, but also why
Mm.
you've done all the things that you've done now, the underlying why?
The why is I want people to have better life. I want people to live quality life, and I want myself to live better life and more quality life as well. I think, yeah, I really care deeply about everyone around me. I don't know why. Even strangers, I have a lot of not necessarily empathy, because sometimes I'm not very empathetic, but I wish everyone the best. I wish everyone could thrive in their life. I love seeing when people are happy. I love seeing when people are passionate and fulfilled. And I think one of the key thing to all of this is that I want to be true to myself.
Mm,
I love myself, and I want other people to be true to themselves and to love themselves, and to work hard to live the life that they want to live, because everyone wants to live better life. But sometimes people say, oh, you know what, they don't want to grow, to live, to change their life. But why is everyone working? Everyone's working and wants saving money so they can live better life, right?
yep.
It's Yeah, every single human being wants to live better life, but people are afraid to put in the hard work. People are afraid of what they need to grow.
Mm,
And not everyone's willing to put in the work. But yeah, for me, I think I just really want everyone to succeed. I want everyone to do well. I want everyone to feel what I've felt, because growth, like looking back, like for example, my career with Index, it's not what I've achieved today, but this journey, this experience, the learning and the growth I've had along the way is the most precious thing. That's why I started the podcast, because I want to share the things I've learned, the growth I've gained along the way as a human being. And I want to share these with other people as well. And hopefully it can help them to grow um, as well. But it's all the journey, it's the experience that we look back to that um, is very important. People are so focused on the end result, the fruit.
it's interesting. Like you can see through just our conversation so far today, that you constantly focused on creating better lives.
Mm,
Now, anybody can interpret that in different ways, but you've just told us your interpretation of it, to create
mm,
love, to create, to help with that journey, to not about the
mm,
end goal, but about the journey. And,
mm,
we all have definitions for our whys, which is so important. And it's so
mm.
important to have it. Now that you've actually said it out loud, would you say that you have actually, the jobs that you've been in the past, have the ones that you've enjoyed have been meeting that, creating better lives, and the ones that you haven't enjoyed weren't so much meeting it?
Yeah, I think all the jobs I've done was creating better life for other people or myself,
Mm,
but it's the ones that I couldn't sustain anymore are the ones that not having the needs and wants met,
mm.
right?
Yeah.
And it's just impossible to push through.
So in other words, they weren't making your life a better life.
No, just or other people around me weren't getting
Yeah.
the best because yeah, just
It's,
didn't
I
work
mean,
out.
it's so important with this why for, for listeners, it's so important to recognize that your why applies to yourself as well.
Mm,
It's not just external, it's actually internal as well.
mm,
this is the whole thing with burnout, is as we've talked about today so much.
There's a really good exercise I would recommend people to do. I've only just started doing it recently. To In 28 days, every single day, you write down a childhood memory with your parents that made you really happy. Each day, just write down one. And it could be something super simple. It could be like, your mom or dad did something for you, or they did something with you together. But write down the meaning behind it. Why is this a beautiful memory? It could be, let me just read out a few that I've written down, like the meaning behind them. So, for example, playing video games with my dad, the meaning behind it is quality time together, laughter, also compensation because dad let me win. I used to go to get flowers from the flower market with mum after my keyboard lessons, as having my creativity encouraged, quality time together, being inspired and learning together. So looking at the whole list now, I can identify what really makes me happy as a child. And this is all my needs and wants as an adult as well, like looking back at this list. So for
I was
other
just
people,
gonna say that it is so true. Like I actually love this, and actually, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna start doing it as well because it's so true. Because then it's I've interviewed other people and they're like, go back to childhood,
so is childhood.
the thing that made you happy, do it. And that was like what I've started doing. I've started going back to sailing because sailing when I was a teenager made me so happy from sailing around the world and riding adventure. So I'll go do adventure when I feel really down or I have like shit days. I'll go do something adventurous because and it is. But this gives you 28 days of different things. So if you don't have some tools in your toolbox after that, you've got to start asking yourself some real questions. Did you actually do it properly?
And also, being able to identify what made me really happy as a child, that's how I want to be loved. And this is the love I give out now, these type of love, care for people and spend time with them, inspire them, being inspired by them, learn together, grow together. These are the things I value now. And this is the type of love I give out to people.
I want to bring up a thing with that because I know there are people out there, you've got those good memories. And sometimes, I know that I've had clients in the past as well. It's hard to find a good memory, a good childhood memory. Those memories that come up that you feel are not good memories, do the same thing. What's the meaning behind them? What's the positive meaning of it? Because without a negative, you cannot have a positive. Without a positive, there is no negative. So you have to have the yin and the yang of them. And so in turn, if you have a negative memory, like I have negative memories of my dad leaving and going to chiropractic school, and it makes me sad. But I also sit there and I go, well, what's the meaning of me being sad there? Well, I wanted connection. What have I done through my life? I've created connections. And so there you go. There's a positive. So what is it that I enjoy doing? I enjoy creating connections. Not all the time, because sometimes I feel like all the other little demon things that are in there. But at the same time, overall, I like to have close connections. I have a small group of friends and I'm very, very close with them. I might not talk to them for 3 months, but when we do talk, it's as if no time has passed.
It's so good that you try to find the positives in negative situation.
There's no trying about it. I'll hunt for it. I'll sit on it for hours and go, okay, where the hell is the positive about it? Because otherwise you get stewed in the negative and you go.
The thing is, I deal with the negatives quite differently. I've learned how to forgive. I've learned how to forgive. I learned to find the meanings, what's behind this negative situation. For example, my parents didn't give me the love I wanted growing up, and there were a lot of trauma they caused for me. But I also then see it's not their fault either. It's generational trauma. And once I see the reason behind, or once I saw the causes of all these negative issues, I learned how to forgive. I learned how to soften.
Which is in turn still finding the positive out of it.
Yeah, but I didn't really think about the positive things out of it. I was just like, oh, it was dark. I'm gonna just, yeah.
Yeah, but it is, and when you find the positive in it, you are forgiving it, because in turn you're sitting there, you take, for example, my dad going to chiropractic school. I mean, and me wanting the connection with him, and that, he and we have one of the biggest connections. Sometimes my mom gets jealous of it, even though really I'm closer to my mom about most things. But it's this, yeah, it's a negative, but it's forgiving him that he's doing what he was doing and it's created something better. Yes, it wasn't nice at the time, and I'm sure everybody has a lot worse things out there, but at the same time, it's forgiving it and going, hey, it's created this opportunity. So, Bonnie, what would be the number one piece of advice you would have for listeners when it comes to
anything in life?
Anything in life, really?
Yeah. any career, any industry, or any human connections. My number one advice will be love yourself, take care of yourself, look after yourself, love people around you, take care of them, look after them.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So Bonnie, I like to give everybody a chance to, tell us what, give us a little contact details so that people can get in touch with you if they want to just reach out to you, but also if they want to ask for any of your services. Obviously you got the Everyday Us podcast, which I take it is on all the different main platforms. But then obviously you've got your beauty therapy shop. How do people get in touch with you if they want to come and they want to look after themselves, especially the women out there? It's very important for you to look after yourselves so that you can then turn up, for everybody else, or even just turn up for yourself. I know my wife comes and sees you and she comes out and she's higher on life than she was when she walked in, and she's still pretty high on life when she walked in. So, how do people get in touch with you, as far as with that side of stuff, and then any other way that you'd like to,
So the two business in the studio space is Index Studio, which is a brow and lash beauty salon, and then also we have another business inside called Skin Moment, which is also another business that look after people, both physically and emotionally. It's a massage and facial treatment service, but we really de-stress people both physically and emotionally. It's quite a holistic, very intuitive facial massage and body massage. It's not just someone turn up and just fluff around and do some work. It's quite very healing. So yeah, we try to make people feel more confident or more relaxed when they walk out of our space.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So everybody in New Zealand, you need to get in touch with Bonnie and get up here to Auckland, or if you're in Auckland, go see her.
Listen to my podcast,
and listen to the podcast.
Get on my show. I love to have some listeners be on the show. I've had one recording of my first listener as a guest the other day, and it was fun. It was really fun getting to know people and hear strangers' stories.
That's awesome. Bonnie, do you have an email that people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I will copy and paste them to you, and then you can leave them in the show notes below.
Perfect. No, that's perfect. We'll do that. We'll put it all in the show notes. Last question I ask everybody: what's your top tip to self-happiness? The top tip, the number one tip.
To get to your own core. Go visit your trauma, your darkness and sadness. If you can really dig them out, do the work, reflect, and grow, that's how you can be truly happy and healed. You'll never be truly happy if you don't visit those places. You can't just hide them and bury them down. You have to dig them out, punch them in the face, and then move on. And yeah, I feel incredibly happy after doing all the deeper digging and getting to know myself deeply. And yeah, I've gained so much self-awareness, and that's something has changed the quality of my life and how I connect with myself and with people. And when you are happy and you truly love yourself, like I'm talking about you, when you truly love yourself, then you can share your energy to light up other people's path as well.
Do that self-work. I love it. Love it, Bonnie. Well, Bonnie, thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Any last words of wisdom you'd like to put out there for everybody?
Just love and put in hard work, really.
Perfect. Love and put in hard work. You've heard it from Bonnie. I totally agree. Now, guys, we do this podcast not so that, we don't do it so that you can just listen. We do it so you can take action. If we just listen passively, yes, we'll pick up some stuff. But if we listen actively, then we will actually do more and we'll actually do something with it. So I challenge you to, if you weren't listening actively, listen again. Go back through it, listen to it again, listen in traffic on your way to work, whatever it is, however you're listening, while you're at the gym, anything, and pick up just one thing. Grab one thing and run with it. Implement it into your life, whether it be, self-care, whether it be love yourself, or just find a connection with somebody. Go out there and do it. Now, if you do need help with it, reach out to Bonnie, reach out to myself. Definitely recommend go get a facial done by her. Even if you're a guy, I'm sure she'll still do it as well. And get out there and take care of yourself. But if you need some assistance, we're always here to help. Send us an email at fighttheburnoutpodcast@gmail.com. That's fighttheburnoutpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be happy to have a conversation with you and give you some tools and tricks specifically for your needs at the time. But again, thank you very much. Make sure you share this with one person that you know. Get it out there, because we, at the end of the day, just like Bonnie's creating better lives, we want to create less pain in people's lives. So if you know somebody that is struggling or could just use what was heard today, send it to them. And until next time, we love you all, and thanks for listening, and we will talk again very soon.